It's being called a miracle. A plane carrying 131 people crashed and broke into 3 pieces while landing on a Colombian island. Only one person died in the crash, a woman who suffered a heart attack shortly after the plane came down. Officials are now investigating the cause of the crash, including reports that the plane may have been hit by lightning as it landed. Vernon Grose is an aviation expert, and he's with us this morning from Washington. Good to talk to you, sir.
Good morning, Seamus.
What do you think caused this plane to crash?
Well, it looks like it could have either been one of 3 things. If lightning was involved, and it sounds like it may have been, then it could have either blinded the crew as they were coming in, or they could have knocked out some of their flight instruments. The third option is that it might have run into what we call microburst. In other words, a vertical amount of wind that came down and brought the airplane down. There's a lot of mystery, though, to me as to how the aircraft could break apart in 3 parts and not actually be on the runway yet. So we don't know whether he had the gear down when he was hit, or whether or not you know, the aircraft actually spun around and stayed in one group of 3 parts. That's
amazing. I mean, when you think that everybody, you know, one person died, you know, reportedly we understand from a heart attack, but everybody else lived. Did that surprise you?
It really amazed me, because the airplane breaking apart at the point of breakup, somebody's going to be seated there, you know, and did they fall out of the airplane or stay with the fuselage? We don't know. One good thing, though, Seamus, about this is that the crew survived, so we'll have their testimony. Right. And then we got both of the recorders. There'll be a cockpit voice recorder, and there'll be a flight data recorder as well. So we'll have a lot of information once we get people together.
You've been in 2 planes hit by lightning. I mean, is that typical? I mean, how often can a plane be hit by lightning?
Well, planes are hit by lightning quite often, but they're designed to sustain that because they have a way to discharge the energy off of the wings. But in this case, I've never heard of lightning hitting near the ground. In other words, normally when lightning hits an aircraft, it's well in the air.
What's it like? What happens? I mean, do you notice all the time?
Well, I was hit over New York in a TWA flight some years ago, and there was a loud bang, a loud report, but there was nobody injured in it. In other words, the fuselage, being metal, carries the energy, and it doesn't come down into people. But it knocked out all the radios. We had to return to New York and have a lot of adjustments made as a result of that.
So, as you said, the lightning carries through the plane and then goes down to the ground. So other than the fact that the instruments are they wiped out, or are they reset? What happens to the instruments?
Well, the instruments may be knocked out. They're designed to be isolated from that energy, but they may not. In this case, we don't know. It could have knocked out the flight instruments, but the energy is discharged off of things on the edge of the wing. That's where the energy goes.
How well equipped are crews these days? I mean, how well equipped are they to deal with lightning hitting a plane and knocking out the instruments?
Well, they're not trained really to do that, except that they realize it could happen, of course, and then as a result of that, they're prepared to take action if they can. And apparently they were able to get the aircraft down in line with the runway, but I don't know what altitude he was. There's another mystery, was the gear down? We don't know that.
Inspectors, or investigators, I should say, into the Air France crash that occurred at Toronto Pearson Airport talked about the length of the runway possibly being a factor. Do you think that could be a factor here?
Not at all. I don't think he landed actually short of the runway. In the Air France accident in Toronto, what happened is he landed long and he landed hot. In other words, he was flying too fast and he landed too long on the runway, so he didn't have runway left. In this case, I don't think the aircraft hardly got onto the runway. It was early in the runway.
Vernon Grose, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.